the numbers are much greater than on the financial statement. And we've already proven that. They said Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million. Mar-a-Lago's worth anywhere from probably 50 to 100 times more than that. And it's a terrible, terrible thing. These are political operatives that I'm going to be dealing with right now. You have a racist attorney general who made some terrible statements, and we just see some more that came over the wires today. It's a very sad situation for our country. We shouldn't have this. This is for third world countries, and very unfair. It's very unfair. But in the meantime, the people of the country understand it. They see it, and they don't like it. They don't like it.
Speak up, Mr. Trump. Speak up, Mr. Trump. That is what Judge Engoron said to Donald Trump as Donald Trump started off speaking very slowly into the mic on the witness stand when he was testifying today. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. The clip you just saw was Donald Trump as he arrived in court. We are now in week 6 of the New York Attorney General civil fraud trial. And folks, today is the big day where Donald Trump is testifying. That was right before Donald Trump entered the court to testify. And wow, did he lose it when he took the stand. The testimony began with the judge telling Donald Trump to speak up because Donald Trump was nervous and speaking very softly. Then Donald Trump started rambling and telling all of these long stories and just rambling and mumbling on. And the judge was like, can you please just stop with the stories and just answer the questions? And then Donald Trump told the judge, what? You're just going to rule against me anyway, no matter what I say. All he does is rule against me. And Judge Engoron, who's presiding over the case, is like, please, Mr. Trump, just answer the question that is being asked. And it's not true that I always rule against you. I'm following the law. I'm following the facts. Please ask your question. Kevin Wallace from the New York Attorney General's office doing some great cross-examination of Donald Trump. One of the early questions that was asked is, well, why'd you put Don Jr. back as a trustee of the revocable trust? And Donald Trump responded, he's a good boy. He's a very good young boy. I mean, or young man. He's a good boy, is what Donald Trump said. He called Don Jr. a good boy. Then when Donald Trump was asked about the false and fraudulent statements on the Trump Organization's Statement of Financial Conditions, which is the heart of this case, what do you think Donald Trump's response is? Donald Trump goes, banks don't care about statement of financial conditions, to which the New York Attorney General lawyer Kevin Wallace says, what do you mean they don't care about fraudulent statements of financial condition? What are you basing that on? And Donald Trump goes, trust me, I've been involved in real estate my entire life. Banks don't care about statement of financial conditions at all. And I put a worthless clause, and the worthless clause means I could put anything into the statement of financial conditions, to which the New York Attorney General, Kevin Wallace, started asking more questions. Okay, did you directly, Donald Trump, was it you who went to the banks with the statement of financial conditions? No, I didn't do it. Okay, well, who did it? And then Donald Trump said, Jeff McConney, who's his former controller, and Alan Weisselberg, his former CFO. Weisselberg is a convicted felon now. He took a plea deal in the Manhattan District Attorney case, served about 100 days at Rikers Island. And Weisselberg took a $2 million severance agreement from the Trump Organization to not comply with adverse parties in cases against the Trump Organization, which is something that came out in Weisselberg's testimony. And Jeff McConney, the former controller of the Trump Organization, again, who Donald Trump said he put in charge of dealing with the banks, McConney said that Weisselberg told him to engage in fraudulent conduct. If you've been following our kind of day-to-day analysis of this trial, that's what McConney testified. So then Kevin Wallace from the New York Attorney General's office asked, well, what instructions did you provide Weisselberg and McConney when they were dealing with the banks and you were providing the banks with the statement of financial conditions, which the New York Attorney General's office is alleging to be fraudulent statement of financial conditions. And Donald Trump says, this is what he testified to: I did not give them any specific instructions on what to give the accounting firm, what to give the banks, what to provide anybody. I did not give them any specific instructions about what to give Mazars, which was the firm working with the Trump organization. I didn't think that specific instructions were needed at all because, as Donald Trump's been repeating, he says that statement of financial conditions are something that doesn't matter in real estate. And he says that banks don't care about statement of financial conditions, which is just something that's totally false.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Seasonal blues are real. I know in my own life, I've experienced the ups and downs around this time of year. See, this time of year, it could be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy could be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change, something to look forward to make you feel grounded, and to give you the tools to manage everything going on. Therapy has helped me in my own life become the best version of myself. It's also helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Midas today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Midas.
Then while Donald Trump was testifying, he was whining about, he said, and Judge, you said that Mar-a-Lago is valued at $18 million. It's not $18 million. It's clearly a lot more than $18 million. And New York Attorney General Kevin Wallace is just methodically going through it and letting Donald Trump go through and kind of cycle in and out of kind of the malignant narcissism, paranoia, and essentially self-incrimination that's taking place on the stand. Speaking about self-incrimination on the stand, there's a reason why people invoke their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Donald Trump testified, he goes, "The reason that I became the president was because of my brand. People love my brand. And if I really wanted to inflate the prices of my statement of financial conditions, if I really wanted to inflate the valuations of all of my properties, I would just include my brand value." Here's the thing. They did include brand value in a lot of their properties. And then they did include something they were calling presidential premiums in the valuations of their properties. So Donald Trump saying that the brand value is not added. It is added. It's undisputed that that is added. And then Donald Trump was saying, everybody got their money back. I don't even see what the issue is here. I don't even know why we're in a trial. I don't know why this is a case. And that's been the morning testimony thus far. But interesting, Donald Trump showing up, speaking very softly, and the judge like, speak up. Lean into the mic and please speak up, sir. And Donald Trump not doing well on the stand, but no one expected him to do well on the stand, perhaps, except him. Let me show you. This is New York Attorney General Letitia James right here. This was before Donald Trump entered today as well, and she basically predicted word for word what Donald Trump was going to say when he arrived. And look, it's easy to predict what he's going to say. He's very predictable. He says the same things over and over and over again. But now that he's in a court of law having to testify here, the things that he's saying are very incriminating. Let's play this clip of New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Misrepresented and inflated the value of his assets. And before he takes the stand, I am certain that he will engage in name calling and taunts and race baiting and call this a witch hunt. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters are the facts and the numbers. And numbers, my friends, don't lie. Thank you.
So that was brief and short. If you have
there you have it, folks. That's the summary for now. I'll be back with you shortly to give you some more breaking news, and we'll break down the testimony of what's going down. Make sure you hit subscribe right now. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers. Remember, Election Day is November 7th. So if you are have the ability, make sure you're doing something today to get people out to vote. Make sure you are going to be voting, and make sure you get out the word. And it's a big election in Virginia also. A lot of states, there's big elections in general, so just be aware. And especially for all my Virginia friends out there, make sure the pro-democracy community goes out, but everywhere across the country, please, please, please get out there, get out the vote. Till next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.
Part of this strategy is not only just going on monologues, it seems, from the stand somewhat, but also not even answering the questions, which is what has brought about this admonishment from the judge. Let me bring in David Chalian, CNN's political director, on this. And here's a quote for you, David, just showing, as Kristen was saying, how the legal and the political, in terms of the campaign, they've become the same thing. Here's the quote from Trump. "I'm sure the judge will rule against me because he always rules against me," says Trump. That sounds very familiar from what we've heard from the campaign trail.
You hear it all the time in the campaign trail. And the judge, of course, as you guys noted earlier, said that's not factually true to Donald Trump, who was on the stand there. You can't separate these two. This is the dominant frontrunner for the Republican nomination and the currently leading candidate to be elected president next year, running against the incumbent Joe Biden, according to recent polls. And yet he finds himself on this day in this courtroom in this historic nature. And guys, I don't think it is despite his legal challenges that he is still maintaining this lead. I think it is in part because of them. We have seen Donald Trump be able to utilize his legal peril, his legal challenges, as a fortifying force for Republicans. And that is what we see in all the public data out there, which is this fortified world of Republicans around Trump, both in the primary context and how that benefits him in a general election context, whereas Joe Biden does not have that fortified force among Democrats. So these trials are playing directly into his hands here.
Absolutely. David, stand by. Let's get back out to the courthouse. Paula Reed's got some more detail from inside. What's happening?
This is getting pretty heated. The judge asking Trump's lawyer, quote, "Can you control your client? This is not a political rally." This coming from our colleagues who are inside the courtroom watching this live. The judge forcing Trump's lawyer, Chris Kise, to talk to the former president. The former president, we're reading here, apparently waved his arms at any suggestion of taking a 10-minute break. He is sitting back in his chair, we're told, just pursing his lips in that sort of classic Trump smile. Trump's lawyer is assuring the judge that their client, quote, understands the rules. The judge shot back and said, well, he doesn't abide by them. Now apparently they're back into questioning, but this is getting pretty heated. If there was any question about whether the former president could remain composed on the stand, refrain from attacking prosecutors, the judge, well, it's pretty clear. He and the judge sort of getting into it here. The judge is especially frustrated with Trump's inability to focus and his lack of brevity. I mean, something that we've all seen many times with the former president, but when you're on the witness stand, it's different. This is not social media. This is not a campaign rally. This is the judge's courtroom, and he has repeatedly asked the former president not to engage in, quote, speeches or essays. It looks like they're continuing with questioning. They're not taking a break, and the former president's lawyer assuring the judge that his client understands the rules.
All right, Paula, keep us posted, because this is, as you said, getting interesting and getting heated and may come to a head soon. Ellie Honig, this is now several times the judge has gone back and asking Trump's attorney, Christopher Kise, can you control your client?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, by the way, that the judge is not directly speaking to Donald Trump, the witness, which he can do. Judges give instructions directly to witnesses all the time.
What do you think is behind
I think he's trying to create some separation, some distance. I think the judge does not want to make this Judge Engoron versus Donald Trump. And so that's why the judge is saying to Trump's lawyers, can you all do anything? Can you please control him? It's really important to understand the judge has fairly limited enforcement powers here. Usually the fact that there's somebody sitting up high on the bench in a black robe is more than enough to get a witness to comply, to listen. I mean, the courtroom's set up that way for a reason, but when you have a witness like this who is just dead set on it, you can admonish, you can warn, you can strike testimony, meaning take it off the record, but ultimately, that's really all that the judge can do. And so this will be an interesting dance here between the judge and Trump that 36 minutes in and it's already at a pretty high temperature.
Absolutely. Well, there are some other statements that are coming out. I mean, we're getting so much so quickly. I'm going to take a couple steps back to go forward because during questioning as well, it seems Donald Trump has hinted at what the future, their future defense, I guess, during this line of questioning may be. This is full screen 5 or 6, just for the control room, where Donald Trump says, when it comes to, he says, we're going to explain that as this trial goes along, this crazy trial goes along, because we're bringing in the bankers, very big bankers. They'll explain exactly what their process is. They were not really documents that the banks paid much attention to. They looked at the deal. This kind of, Jeremy Saland is with us as well. This speaks to the facts and figures that is part of this line of questioning that they're trying to have. And Donald Trump saying that he thinks that he's going to be bringing in big bankers to prove his case.
I don't know what big bankers means, but
exactly.
The bottom line here, this is playing all into the Attorney General's hands. I mean, this is what they want. They're not here to debate politics and what's going to happen outside the courtroom in an election. They're looking at the four corners of that courtroom and whether they can prove their case. And going on tirades and talking about big bankers and going after the judge does nothing for his credibility, does nothing to dispute the allegations, does not bring new facts and evidence into play. So all of this really hurts Donald Trump. And you don't bring me on to be a mental health professional, but I do wonder whether or not the former president understands the gravity of what he's doing. And I think also at the same time, he is more afraid of this case because he thinks that the other matters, he's never going to see a day in jail and it doesn't really matter. This is his name, this is his future, but he's going off the rails from what we're hearing about inside the courtroom.
All right, let's get back to the courthouse steps. Caitlin Collin is there, and I understand, Caitlin, things have not improved inside the courtroom.
Because they want to come to her.
No, they haven't, and it's not really that surprising, but so much of it is how this is proceeding, with Trump being asked these questions, not giving a direct answer, certainly not in the judge's estimation of what's happening there, and he is getting incredibly frustrated. He just removed some of Trump's comments from the records where Trump was bragging about how much cash he had. The judge essentially having groaning here, saying that he is not only being filibustered by the witness, the former president who is on the stand right now, but also he is saying by Chris Kise, Trump's attorney, who is in the room. And the judge is getting incredibly frustrated. He has now admonished Trump in the middle of his statement. Now that has happened, I believe, 5 to 6 times. Trump has only been inside that courtroom for about 39 minutes here. And I think that is what's notable here, is just how quickly this has devolved into a bit of a chaotic situation. What we do know is that the prosecutors don't seem to be getting into the middle of this, of what's happening between the judge and Trump's attorney, and instead are continuing with the questioning. I think one really interesting aspect of this is obviously what's at the heart of this is that Trump overvalued and inflated his assets to get more favorable terms on his loans. Trump is essentially trying to claim that actually these properties were undervalued and that sometimes he questioned the values of what was on these statements, these financial statements, saying that it was actually less than what he thought it should be. That is not what the judge has already found here. They've already found him liable for fraud. The question is how much he has to pay in damages, and he seems to be arguing something different. Of course, the judge is also what matters here. The judge getting frustrated with Trump's questioning. There's no jury inside that room, John and Kate. It is up to the judge here. He was already off on bad terms with the judge, and now it does not seem to be like the former president is trying to get on his good side in any shape or form.
Opinion of the U.S. has dramatically improved since Biden replaced Trump. I think that matters. I'm not an isolationist, so I think it's important that other countries respect the office of the presidency. And under Trump, it was a joke, literally laughed at the UN, goes to India, mispronounces 10 Indian names, and the crowd is just leaving. It was a humiliation everywhere he went. So I think that's it's like a soft thing that I think is really good.
So the fact that we're no longer feared is a good thing?
I don't know where you're getting that we are no longer feared.
So you think people fear Biden?
What I'm asking you is what data do you have that we are no longer feared?
Well, that's not it. what data is not any data to give. I mean, during
then how do you know it is
Well,
the
no,
truth?
but during Biden is when Russia felt comfortable bullying Ukraine. During Biden is even if you look at Afghanistan on the way we left, people on the left were not happy by the way we left Afghanistan.
Which people?
Even 82 billion. I can give you a lot of different names.
Like
The
who?
CIA. Who was the CIA guy that we had here who was on
Philip Mudd
with a Z? What's his name?
Matt Zeller.
Matt Zeller, CIA agent who was on
who that
MSNBC.
is.
He called him out. He was on MSNBC with.
But that's one person, right?
No, but there's a lot of them though. If I
let's back up a
actually
second.
if I actually
Yeah.
pull it up and if I do the Google search on
Yeah.
it, I'll find plenty of names from their own side.
Let's do it. That's fine. But I think one important thing to back up is you first kind of gave me what's not really a very fair question. You go, are you not worried that the U.S. is no longer feared?
So you're saying they don't fear you?
But hold on. Let me finish my
Yeah,
response. Okay.
yeah.
You first presented to me, and these are a lot of conversations go like this. You present to me, is it not a concern to me that the U.S. is no longer feared? And I said, well, where are you getting that? Where's the data? You go, there is no data. So let's first start with.
What I said is it's not the fear. I didn't say there's no data. You can't
said
pull
there's no
data.
data.
Meaning you can't find data on fear. Fear
Then how
is-
do you know that that's the
fear is
case?
action? Fear is action. Did during Trump Russia attack Ukraine?
No, that's not. Yeah.
What happened with Palestine and Israel?
What happened?
Yeah, what happened? They came together after 20 some years.
What?
What are you talking about when you say
What
what?
are you talking about? Hold on.
Well,
a
he moved
second.
the capital to Jerusalem, is what you're saying.
So let's.
I don't
talk
know if
about
there's
that.
been peace
Let's
in the
talk
Middle
about
East or anything like that.
Has there been any progress on peace?
Very limited.
Did moving it wasn't the capital. Did moving the embassy?
The embassy,
Hold on a
correct,
second. Let me ask the question. Did moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem get us closer to peace, or did it get us further away? Do either of you guys know? I don't know if you've studied this issue.
There's arguments on both ends, but it has not led to peace and prosperity in Palestine, correct?
Did Trump promise, there's a very critical, clear question. Did Trump promise that Jared Kushner would solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict during the first term? Now,
That's
just a
overreach.
yes, no. Did he
It's an
promise it?
I don't know if he promised it or promises made, promises kept. He was assigned to that duty.
And did it happen?
What happened?
Did Jared negotiate
No,
peace?
but I don't think anybody believed that peace was happening in
So
the Middle
it's
East.
okay for him to make promises that are obvious lies?
But make the argument. Go
Yeah.
back to the argument about the fact that America, on all polls today, is, would you say, liked? What was the word you used?
So I think the really important thing when we talk about this is we talk
Mm-hmm.
about what we can measure. So the Gallup polling that has been done.
So you trust polls?
Oh, come on.
So but that's where we're going, though.
There are lots of
because I
different.
trust certain polls too, but I'm saying, so you trust polls?
If you say, do I trust a Rasmussen Republican primary poll 18 months before an election, I would say that's not very valuable. I don't think that's valuable. The Gallup public opinion sentiment poll that has been done over many, many presidents in the same way, I think that that's a pretty good poll just to give a sense of how the world feels about the American president. I have no reason to distrust that. There are other polls where I would have a specific reason to distrust. But we're kind of going like 10 tangents here. I think if we want to talk about, am I upset that the U.S. isn't feared? Since you brought that question forward, the appropriate thing would be for you to give me the data.
But no, go back to what you said. You said U.S. is what? You said you like the fact that U.S. is liked more today under Biden?
No, I didn't use that term.
What was the term you used, if you don't mind saying it again?
On average, countries respect the U.S. more now that Biden is president.
And
Trump
you
is
value that.
I think it's important because
Okay.
can I tell you why?
Sure.
I think it's important because between trade and globalization and problems we deal with that don't respect the borders of countries, it's important to be, again, it's not about liked, it's not about, it's to be respected globally. I do think that actually matters.
So why do you think they didn't like or respect Trump? Let's see what you're going to say with that.
I
Why do
mean,
you think? Tell me.
The guy's a joke.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why. And Biden's not a joke.
Well,
You're
we
right.
can we can talk about Biden.
Oh, because Biden's like the goat and, and Trump's the joke.
No.
Okay, so
I'm critical
tell us
of
why
Biden.
he's a joke.
But I think it's important to say: are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Biden? We can talk about both,
identify
but let's
both.
talk about them one at a time.
Stay on Trump.
Okay,
Stay on Trump
fair.
when he says he's a joke. Tell us
Okay.
why you think he's a joke.
promises made that were not kept that he told us he was going to achieve for us. Let's look at some of them. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with, his word, a beautiful replacement where everyone will have care and it's going to be affordable. Okay. Just flat out didn't happen. The one proposal that Republicans made would have led to 24 to 32 million people losing health care. I consider that a failure. I don't think Obamacare is perfect, but it's better than the thing Trump said he was going to bring us. That was just a failure. 2, build a wall across the entire U.S.-Mexico border, which Mexico is going to pay for. It's not even worth having a conversation. I mean, just a joke. Of course, completely didn't happen. Solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No progress made. In fact, to be honest, and this is, if we want to delve into that, moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem got us further from that because it's seen as a sort of a taunting measure if you understand the internal politics of what's going on there. Was going to, made some space travel promises. I mean, I can't think of promises he made that he did keep other than, I guess he was going to do tax reform and he did tax reform. So as a policy matter, a complete and total failure. I do think maybe the First Step Act on criminal justice reform did some good things. I'm sort of glad to give him credit on that. But so, on policy, failure. And then, on rhetoric, we could spend 3 hours just looking at quotes.
So I'm curious to see exactly how you think now. So
Yeah.
If COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because his followers don't care about policy. I interview them all the time, and I say...
His followers don't care about policy.
They don't care about achievements. They care about Hillary bad, Hillary Marxist, Hillary socialist.
You think Hillary's good?
Did I say that?
No, I'm asking you.
Oh, no. I don't think Hillary was a good candidate, and she's to my right. No, I don't think Hillary's good, but I thought she was better than Trump.
She's to your right.
She's to my right. Yeah, Hillary
So
is
she'd
a
be
very...
a moderate conservative Democrat
in
your world.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I couldn't tell you, but that's
Exactly. There is
not,
none.
But it's not the point. But you're saying you would much rather have a Hillary than a Trump.
I would rather.
Okay, so go back to...
Much rather, I don't know.
So go back to he gets reelected. Why? Because his voters could care less about policies.
They
That's what you're
couldn't
saying.
care less.
Fine, no problem. So, but we both know that it's not the right that elects him, and it's not the left that elects whoever on the left. It's whoever's in the middle, the 8 to 12% that kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go this side, this time around, or versus more people come out for... their candidate, meaning a lot
Not
of people
really
would
true.
come out for Obama. Okay, so explain yourself.
What it actually more depends on is who chooses to go out and vote. It's less about, there's